Welcome, everyone, to the Center for Spiritual Living. It's so nice to have you join us. I wish it were in person. We miss you terribly, but so glad that we have this technology to stay connected. I'm so grateful that you tuned in. You'll hear several announcements about this being recorded for later viewing, but I want you to watch it live. I mean, you won't be able to catch all the wonderful mistakes before it's been edited so nicely. And a big shout out thanks to Raj and Drew, to Rob, all the behind the scenes help we've had. It's been wonderful. So we're going to open our service with an opening song. I invite you to sing where you are, and we'll imagine that in our minds, and it'll make us smile, and I hope it just goes right back to you too. Smiles all around. Let's sing. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I am sacred love. Sacred love is all that I am. You are sacred love. Sacred love is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Such a holy place. So sacred, so sacred, so precious is love. So sacred, so sacred, so precious is love. I will share, 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 I will share this love, this love. I am sacred love, sacred love is all that I am. We are sacred love, sacred love is all that we are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Such a holy place. So sacred, so sacred, so precious this love. So sacred, so sacred, so precious this love. I will share, 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 I will share this love, this love. I am sacred love, sacred love is all that I am. We are sacred love, sacred love is all that we are. All that we are.
Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to the Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living live streaming service. My name is Linda Brewer, and we are a spiritual community where all are welcome. You're just welcome to watch us remotely rather than here in person, as we do everything we can to keep all of us safe. Our practitioner holding high watch this morning is Diane Christensen. Throughout the service, she will be in prayer from home, like many of you, knowing that the best and highest is unfolding as we share this sacred time together. Wendy Condi will be our prayer practitioner this morning. Our center is a spiritual community that teaches a philosophy for daily living based on spiritual principles and practices that are universal among religions. We honor every pathway by which people seek to know and connect with the divine and we work on our individual consciousness so that we can help make the world a better place. So will you join me from wherever you are in saying with feeling our purpose statement? We are an open, welcoming community, celebrating our divinity, loving our humanity, and nurturing our journeys of spiritual discovery. And this morning, I encourage all of us to keep that statement in mind as we move forward, often at home, alone, asking ourselves, what can we be doing right now to celebrate our divinity? How can we demonstrate loving our own and the humanity of others? And what sacred spiritual journeys are we willing to be taking at this time? During this very unusual time as a spiritual community and as a world, it is essential that we help our leadership keep us informed about the latest information from the center. Our website, where you can find all the information, we say it out loud every week, and let's do it now, www.spirituallyfree.org. And this is what the homepage looks like on our website. To quickly get all the latest information, we want you to sign up for our email newsletter and visit our official Facebook page. All the information to do that is on the website. The link for our Facebook page, which is where we are live streaming, is right on the website front page, marked in red there. The link for our website is regularly being updated, and it's there. You can sign up for the newsletter by using the Contact Us form. This is how you get there, down there at the bottom. And this is what it looks like when you do get there. And so just send us an email, ask to be join the newsletter, and we will make sure you get on that list. So please let us stay in touch with you, because things are changing. I was for a long time saying daily, now it's hourly. So our theme this month is honoring the divine feminine in all. And today's talk is called Nurturing as Strength. Quite appropriately, our speaker this morning is one of the strongest and most nurturing women I know, our own Chamaigne Sharette. I can't wait to hear what she has to share with us. Next week, unless I can talk someone else into it, I will be your speaker. So let me know. Okay, Drew, thank you. Because of the precautions we are being asked to take, all of our in-person events have been postponed until we can safely gather together without putting people at risk. So we ask you to join us on Sunday mornings live streaming, not here. However, everywhere around the planet right now, people are working to keep us all connected and sane as we have this very new and different experience of life. I can't begin to tell you the number of hours Raj and Drew and Rob and the band and others have put into being able to get this service out to you in real time, and we'll be working on other things as the weeks go by. But I wanted to share one great example of something that you can enjoy from the comfort of your home. Home Office has put together a weekend series of cozy couch concerts, and that means you can watch at home every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. The information and the links to all of the concerts are on the website in the calendar section. Tonight's concert is by Martin Kerr. I was just going to share a short snippet of his music, but he has written this most amazing song, and I think during this time all of us need to find ways to keep our joy and to laugh a little bit in the midst of all that's going on. And so we're going to share the whole video of a brand new song that Martin has written, which he gave us permission to share, and it's called Isolation Groove. Enjoy. All right, so there's a great example of what you can be enjoying tonight at 7 o'clock on the Cozy Couch concert series. So please be sure to go to our website, look under the calendar, and you will find the link to join Martin tonight in his concert. And now I want to remind you that in addition to laughing, one of the things to keep us going is prayer. And our community is a community that was founded on and is grounded in prayer. For those of you who may not be familiar with us and are just finding us for the first time online, our practitioners are trained professionals who use the art and science of affirmative prayer to help solve problems, heal conditions, and cope with life's challenges. Normally, they're here to do a prayer with you in person, but if you go to the home page of our website, over there on the bottom right, as you see on the slide, that's where you can submit a prayer request. And if you send it in, we will get that out to all the practitioners. They will all be praying for you. And if you need to talk with the practitioner, say so in your request, and we'll get you connected with someone who can give you a call just as soon as possible. And so right now, one of our fabulous practitioners is going to share her wisdom in a reading. Then we will have centering music from our lovely band. And then we will prepare for Wendy to take us all to that sacred place within as she leads us in prayer.
Thank you, Linda. The divine feminine, nurture as strength. In times of uncertainty, it's unsettling for sure. In these moments, where do we seek to find nourishment and spiritual strength? Instead of being afraid and unsure, let us ponder instead. What if? What if we looked inside ourselves? What if? Imagine what it would be like if you got up in the morning and looked in the mirror and not see the reflection of what's on the outside, but instead you saw the condition of your sacred soul. What would you see? Would you see the beautiful light of love of God that can only express as the beautiful light that is you? Would you recognize the innate power, the presence of spirit nestled deep inside your heart and soul, the very essence of your being, which is perfect and whole? Would you recognize that spirit within, just waiting for you to see the perfection, to know, to nourish, and to replenish your soul, to awaken you to the power and strength you already possess to fulfill and support you on your spiritual journey? Would you see the light of God, the God stuff that exists at the very center of all creation, that gift and energy we call life as you? Is it burning bright? Have you tapped into it yet? Are you connected? If not, stop. Breathe. Look again into that mirror and into the soul. That is God's gift to you in this life. Know this, that the life you have is the spirit within you. It's the only life. You are surrounded and supported by a dynamic force and a great surge of living power. Its presence permeates everything and responds to your every thought. Be mindful of it in every moment. As our founder, Ernest Holmes, has said, we have within us a power that is greater than anything we shall ever contact in the outer. A power that can overcome every obstacle in our life and set us safe, satisfied and at peace, healed and prosperous in a new light and in a new life. Everything in life responds to the song of the heart. Nurture it. Listen to it. Let that song be a song of strength and resilience. Let it be free. Let it be of love, of healing and connection. Let that song be the song that can only be sung by the beautiful spirit that can only be expressed as you. May you be blessed with safety, comfort, and peace always.
I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will open to my God, open to my God. I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will open to my God, open to my God. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know. I will make a quiet place within my soul, and I will open to my God, open to my God, and I will open to my God, open to my God.
And as we rest in that sacred space within, knowing we are surrounded by the beautiful energy and spirit of all that is, the God that is the creative healing energy and light that exists at the back and creation and all that is. It is in that spirit and healing light of love, of kindness and goodness that expresses through me, just as I know it expresses through every single person and every living thing that exists. In this expression, I know I am supported. I know everyone is supported. And in this beautiful expression, this gift of life that is God given to all of us, I rest in great strength. I rest in great peace, in harmony, in love for all, as we are all united and interconnected in this energy. And for that, I am so very grateful. My heart is full. Just thankful for every single person that comes into my contact, forcing me to grow into new and expanded ways and supporting me in my evolution and growth, just as I know it does every single person. In gratitude and love, I simply release my word into the mind of God and into the law that makes it so. As together we say, and so it is.
I invite you to sing along with us, celebrating the divine feminine, circle of love, gifts of the goddess. Thanks for joining us. I could just see you in your room, shaking around and squirming on your couch or your chair. Makes me smile. Thanks for singing along. It's my pleasure to introduce our special music and our speaker for the day. I am completely biased. My lovely wife, Chamaigne, is an extraordinary bright light. Her heart is bigger than I can imagine. And her wisdom. I'm so happy for her to share this. And her voice, which you'll hear. She's written a couple of songs, which we'll do, and I'll let her introduce that. But I'm grateful, too, to have Leslie here today. It was a spontaneous surprise. Have her join us for the service music. Anyway, if I could imagine you giving my lovely wife, Chamaigne, a round of applause. Yeah, there it is. I can hear it.
Thank you, Rick. The last movie that Rick and I saw in the theater was A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And in it, Mr. Rogers said, "When I was a boy and I would see scary things on the news, my mother would say to me, 'Look for the helpers. You'll always see people that are helping.' And to this day, especially in times of disaster, I remember my mother's words, and I'm always comforted by realizing that there are still so many helpers, so many caring people in this world." A favorite spiritual teacher of mine, Gangaji, would teach that when things are always changing, there's a blessing in that because you get to see what remains the same. That pops out of the landscape into visibility. Right now in our world, we're changing a lot. We're changing how we do just about everything. And I'm noticing what remains unchanging, which is all the helpers. What remains unchanging is that when we look for love, love is everywhere we look. I'm going to share two of my centering songs with you that Rick has made into a medley, because I couldn't decide which one, so I both. And he waved his magic wand of music theory and made it into a medley. If you have worries and your worrying mind is telling you to keep worrying because you might come up with a solution, or at least you'll be prepared, I'd like you to just tell your worrying mind that it can afford to take a break for a minute or two. You have an appointment with peace right now. The experience of peace is only in the present moment. Even when we feel peace thinking about the past, or we feel peace imagining a delicious future, the feeling of peace happens right now. So if you want to feel peace, you have to go where peace lives. Let's do that together.
Hush, hush, my busy mind. It's time to rest. Trade in my busy sounds for the sound of silence. Sweet music, open the door, ease my way. Now I feel again the sound of silence. May the changing landscape of thoughts reveal what remains unchanging. Beneath the winds of variety is a silent, constant knowing. Sweet music, open the door, ease my way. Now I
gently come back to being here. My choice is to take this time to listen and feel what's really real. It's time to remember the silence. It's time to step into the light, to let it shine on whatever is here, to be healed, celebrated, and I hear the voices softening. This quiet has its own kind of ring. I say yes to this deepening, to the one voice that says, welcome home. I'm home. Rest, rest, my heart and mind, embraced by the sound of silence. Thank you. I am pleased to give my first full-length sermon at SLCSL. I'm happy for the opportunity. I'm happy that Sunshine Day gets to be rescheduled for later in the year, and I'm happy to be asked to cover for that rescheduling. I'm on this stage every week, and I've made a practice of looking around, usually during the wall of prayer, and connecting with each individual and sending you my love. And so I want you to know that if you're one of those people that zips in and zips out and I don't ever find you for a hug, I've been aware of your presence. I love you and I miss you, and I care about what's happening in your life right now. With all the rapid change happening, some of us are a lot less busy than usual, and some of us are a lot more busy than usual as we scramble to find new ways of doing things. Some of us are in need, and some of us are being called into service. And either way, it's a good time for nurturing ourselves and each other. And it's a good time to connect with our identity that's beyond all the individualized expressions of our individual lives. Our true identity is in the oneness. And those are the themes that I'm going to talk about today. I'll start with a story about a time when I purposefully shook up and expanded my identity by dismantling my judgments and playing with gender expressions a bit. And then I'll wrap up by talking about the genderless quality of nurturing. And to my way of thinking, that quality is at the heart of the spiritual path for all of us. Since you'll be watching on video, I wanted to make it a little more interesting, so I did bring pictures, as you'll see. Once upon a time, there was a magical land of the perpetual hippy culture. This land was named Seattle. And there lived a teenage hippie named Chamaigne. Although there were very many young second-generation hippies in Seattle, they weren't exactly common in Seattle's high schools, except perhaps on Halloween, or as Chamaigne would soon discover, one other day of the year, which happened to be the first day of her new high school experience in the middle of the year. And as soon as she was very happy to see all these kindred spirits in the hallways. And she befriended them right away by giving the greetings in the native tongue of hippy. Far out, she would say, to hippie passersby, those with especially flamboyant fashion sense. Imagine her disappointment when by the end of the day, hippie Chamaigne found out that these kindred spirits were actually cheerleaders. They were being initiated by having to wear the most embarrassing possible of all outfits to school. In other words, to dress just like Chamaigne. The next morning in first period, some kind girl came up to Chamaigne and said, "Hippie Day was yesterday." And then it was incumbent upon Chamaigne to explain that she was neither cheerleader nor dressed this way in jest. Nay, not even with a little sense of irony was Chamaigne dressed this way, for being a hippie was serious business to her. It was more than about fashion, it was a value system, a lifestyle to which she dedicated every weekend, volunteering through a hippie-run charity, serving homeless youth and hungry hippies. She handed out dry socks, community resource lists, condoms, safe sex information, and sometimes food through an underground network of hippies who would rescue food from the dumpsters at their places of work. This picture is actually the table next to hers that was run by an AIDS activist, but Chamaigne was right next door in her burlap dress and hiking boots, smuggling smuggled Cinnabons to homeless youth. This was serious business, taking care of each other and Mother Earth. It was this atheist kid's religion. It was her whole identity. And speaking of identity, this might be a good time to mention that the protagonist of this story and the narrator are one and the same. And so I'm going to tell the rest of the story in the first person because it's much easier. As a very serious ideological hippie, I thought that enlightened women didn't shave. It was a very proud moment for me when my unshorn armpit made the cover of the Seattle Times. I had a lot of negative judgment about shavers. Never mind that I had only given up my razors a few years prior. I had what I call new convert syndrome. I turned up my nose at those who hadn't yet progressed as I had. I mean, look at this picture. Isn't being an 18-year-old fairy hippie earth mother the pinnacle of existence? I was sure it was. But my friends, musicians I played with, challenged me to reconsider my judgments. They introduced me to A Course in Miracles and other spiritual teachings about oneness, and about how we get into trouble when we let our style, our diet, and even our value systems define us. We're actually much bigger than all of that. Naturally, the moment I tried on a non-judgmental attitude, I looked down my nose at those who would judge and put people in boxes. That's me there looking down my nose at you. So I thought I'd help the rest of the world catch up with me by doing a little social experiment, which of course was about my own maturity and not all of your maturity. You've heard about civil disobedience. Well, I decided to engage in some fashion disobedience. So I shaved one leg and left the other unshaved, and I wore a mini skirt and paraded around town. I'm so sorry I don't have a picture to show you, but I can tell you that I have Norwegian skin and German leg hair, so the difference was not subtle. I could have been the hairy leg model in my favorite commercial ever. It went like this. "Welcome to the job fair. We're looking for a leg wax demonstrator. Are your legs hairy?" Oh, perfect. Once on a city bus, I wore my short skirt and my contrasting leg hairstyles, there was this little boy sitting across from me. He stared for a long time, and then he finally said, "Are you a boy or a girl?" His father tried to hush him up really fast, but I said, no, it's okay. And we had a lovely conversation about personal choices and about how every body is different. This was conveniently evidenced by the fact that I had about 5 times as much leg hair as the father did. I actually wrote a paper about all of this for my high school English class. It was called "To Shave or Not to Shave? That is the question." The teacher had us read our papers while seated in our desks. So on the day I was to read, I wore a floor-length dress, and I used my spare hand to hike up my dress very slowly as a lot of curious eyes congregated around my ankles. And just to add suspense, I wore these socks. You can tell my humor hasn't changed much in 30 years. The punchline of the paper was, I shave and I don't shave, to make a point that if you really want to shake up your judgments and your preconceptions and your self-conceptions that you're attached to, try doing the opposite of what you normally do and see how it feels. It's one of my favorite games. I knew a guy who always dressed like the Mad Hatter, and I dared him to ditch his hat and walk around town with me dressed in khakis and a polo shirt. And he went, "Whoa, okay, I get it." But he wouldn't do it. Another time, I was complaining to a girlfriend about how all these musicians I want to work with just want to date me instead. It was a very hard time in my life, but somehow I managed to get through it. My friend said to me, "You know, don't you, there is a way you could change this experience." I said, "What is it?" She said, "Get a buzz cut." I said, "Whoa, okay, I get it," but I didn't do it. My complete lack of interest in cutting off all my hair helped me realize I actually was making some choices that were creating this experience that I said I didn't want. High heels and hungry eyes might have had something to do with it. And these weren't inevitable expressions of who I am. I am an expression of God, and in God, there's infinite possibilities. You know, I could have long hair, but not bat my eyelashes. Or I could bat my eyelashes and wear combat boots. I don't know if you can see that's a vending machine called Vendabait. And once again, my sense of humor has not changed a lot in 30 years. Or I could be a hairy-legged Scottish biker chick in a turban. Really, the sky's the limit. Endless possibilities. So I started playing with this a bit by dressing as different characters and riding the city bus. I dressed as a homeless person, as a biker chick. I pretended to be deaf. I just wanted to see how people would respond to me. I was a business person once, and I learned just how many more people will follow you when you're jaywalking if you're wearing a business suit. It's incredible. The most interesting experiment I did was when I dressed as a man on the bus. I wore hairy legs, khaki shorts, sweatshirt, a man ponytail. I walked like a man, I sat like a man, I tried to project male energy. People were so confused. I've heard that we're uncomfortable when we can't tell if someone's a man or a woman because we want to project our cultural expectations onto them. And I got to explore that, actually, when I couldn't tell whether this coworker of mine was a man or a woman. I really couldn't tell. I suppose at the time I didn't know that there were actually other options besides those two. It was in the 90s. I asked myself why I wanted to figure out if this person was male or female. Was it so I could project my cultural stereotypes? Did I want to predict certain things about how they would behave? Did I want to know how I should behave? Did I unconsciously interact with men and women differently? Or perhaps there were different flavors of validation that I wanted to get from all men and all women? I don't know. Why would this person's gender be relevant to me? It was interesting to see how it felt to settle into relating to this person as just a person. There was no assumptions, no expectations, no shortcuts to getting to know them, no package deal. Every quality about this person showed up to me a la carte. How I felt was truly present. Could I be that present with everyone? I'd ask myself, how would I feel about so-and-so's words and actions if they were the opposite gender? How much more curious would I be to wait for them to show me who they are if I didn't know their gender? These questions led me to a sweet space of unconditional love. I noticed that before the place of, I love you for how you show up to me, there's a place of, I love you because you exist, and that's incredible. Male, female, trans, non-binary, these terms all describe ways in which God is expressing in human form. These different gender expressions are beautiful, powerful, meaningful, but they don't define us. And I mean that in two ways. In the big picture, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and gender is just one part of that human experience. We are so much bigger. The other way in which gender categories don't ultimately define us is that no matter our gender, we are fully free to express ourselves however we choose to show up in the world. Every individual quality is on its own spectrum. Like the father that had 5 times less leg hair than me. You know, we're all different. And we're all unique combinations of these qualities, and we can cultivate qualities that we choose. Gender categories are descriptive. They're not prescriptive. They don't tell us who we have to be. Ernest Holmes says, never limit your view of life by any past experience. Or in other words, we're not bound by precedent. This month we've been celebrating the divine feminine, and last week Sally Jo did a great job of talking about divine masculine and divine feminine and how they actually have nothing to do with human gender. They're qualities operating in synergy in the universe and in every human being in equal measure. We get into a bit of trouble when, as a culture, we assign tasks and qualities rigidly and absolutely to one gender or the other, never mind who's actually good at what. For example, traditionally, women have been the nurturers with emotional intelligence and compassion. And men have been the protectors with physical strength and courage. There is a great missed opportunity when these are treated as absolutes, because we all have some of every quality and the potential to develop every quality. Like this guy. There's also a lot of crossover between these qualities that we don't always recognize. There's overlap between nurturing and protecting. Isn't nurturing a form of protection and protection a form of nurturing? And there's overlap between compassion and courage. It takes courage to be compassionate, and compassion for loved ones is often what inspires courage. Emotional intelligence and physical strength could be seen as parallel qualities if we recognize that emotional intelligence requires a lot of emotional strength. As part of our month of celebrating the divine feminine, today we are focusing on the quality of nurturing. It's a quality traditionally associated with the female gender, but in celebrating it, I hope that I've already begun to persuade you that nurturing is genderless. Men and women may have biological or sociological propensities to express nurturing in different ways, but it's also the core competencies of nurturing are also the core competencies involved in emotional and spiritual maturity, which is a path that we're all on. So what are these core competencies I'm talking about? I did a little research on this to see how others organize these concepts. What I call emotional and spiritual maturity, psychologists call emotional intelligence. And here's how I distill down that concept. Emotional intelligence is empathy, insight, charity, and discipline. That's my formulation, but it was better than a 20-point slide. Nurturing requires all of these skills, and I call them skills because we can cultivate them. I love these two quotes by Brené Brown. They're about empathy, but they also point to insight, charity, and discipline. Empathy is communicating that incredibly healing message of you are not alone. Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice. In order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. In order to nurture, you need empathy to understand how it feels to be in another person's shoes. In order to nurture, you need insight to recognize when engaging in empathy is bringing up unpleasant emotions for you. You need charity to keep caring about the other person's experience as much as your own, even when what's coming up for you is unpleasant and overwhelming, perhaps. In order to nurture, you need discipline to put your own feelings on the back burner in order to keep being present for the other person until their process is complete, before you ask for your turn, whether that's a turn from that person or someone else who nurtures you. This might sound like it's more about communication than nurturing in general, but I would argue that these same skills are necessary in all nurturing. If your kid comes up to you crying for a Band-Aid and a kiss, you need empathy to recognize that their scraped knee is actually very frightening for them. You need insight to recognize that the white-hot rage you feel at being interrupted over this, while you're clearly on a very important phone call, is probably only coming up for you because you're under a deadline at work and you just stubbed your toe. You need charity to care about their experience anyway and let them know that their experience is worth caring about. And if you want to argue with that, please go back to number 2, insight. And you need discipline to have the emotional self-control to handle the situation in the most effective way, rather than give in to the urge to let emotions take the wheel. So now let's look at these 4 skills in relation to spiritual growth. But first we have to ask, what is spiritual growth? In order to make a case that these skills are important for the spiritual path, we have to identify the goal of the spiritual path. And that's very personal. It's a big question. What does the science of mind teach about this? What's the goal of the spiritual path? I think this quote from Ernest Holmes puts it in a nutshell really well. By expanding our understanding of the nature of God, we can see those aspects in ourselves and others until we are fully immersed in the oneness that we are. In other words, spiritual growth is becoming conscious of the qualities of the divine, recognizing those same qualities in ourselves and those same qualities in others, all others. The result of this recognition is the full conscious realization of oneness. Or, to be succinct, the goal of the spiritual path is love. The spiritual path is about the process of consciously becoming the love that we already are. If you believe, as I do, that we come from and will return to a state of full conscious oneness with all other beings, isn't it interesting that we're having this human experience of being individuated where there is this illusion of separation? To me, there's so much beauty and purpose in the variety of expression that we have, and it's all about love. We get to experience each other as other. When you are other, my love has some place to go. It has something to do. What would it mean to love if there was no lover and no beloved? We also get to learn in spite of the differences that annoy or even frighten us. Ultimately, we get to learn to love so well that we start to see past the illusion of separation. So, what do you think about my thesis that empathy, insight, charity, and strength are core competencies for loving, or in other words, core competencies for the spiritual path? Empathy is being so present with another's experience that you go to the place in you that really gets it, because you've been there, and you're willing to visit the other person there, even if it brings up unpleasant feelings in yourself. Insight is recognizing that what's coming up for you is coming up for your own reasons, not because of what the other person is saying and doing. It's recognizing that the temptation to judge and reject another's feelings comes up when you'd rather be rejecting your own feelings because you'd like to keep them tucked away. Insight is realizing that when you're temporarily blinded by another's divinity, that you've got work to do. Charity is giving the benefit of the doubt, being willing to imagine how a reasonable, well-meaning person might have done what this person did. Discipline is sitting with all this and continuing to recognize what is true, what is effective, what is the way of love in every situation. To nurture is to love. To love is to walk the spiritual path toward full realization of our oneness. Therefore, nurturing is not the domain of one gender or another. Nurturing is the work of humanity, realizing its divinity. Nurturing is a quality of the divine, and therefore a quality present in every human being. Ernest Holmes says, "I live in the faith that there is a presence and power greater than I am that nurtures and supports me in ways I could not even imagine. I know that this presence is all-knowing and all-power and is always right where I am." I'll conclude with this summary. The science of mind teaches the eternal loving kindness of life to all, and that we are all individualizations of one spirit. So the way I see it, our true identity is we are loved, we are learning to love, we are love. The rest is just playing dress up on public transportation. And now let's move into prayer. After the prayer, I'm going to sing you a song. It's a lullaby from Mother, Father, God to you. To start the prayer, I'll explain that in the science of mind, we pray affirmatively and in the first person. So as I speak in my own voice, I invite you to find that place in you that knows the same things for yourself. Taking this time to remember that nurturing is a quality of the divine, and recognizing that I am one with that divine spirit that moves through all things. I know that nurturing is also part of my nature. I am made entirely of God's stuff. There is only one life, one love, one infinite presence, and I am part of that one. This is my true identity that supports and transcends all the particulars of my individualized expression. I am supported and nurtured by life itself. At the ground of all being is wellness, wholeness, and love. My spirit connects with this truth easily and effortlessly. And so as I move through daily activities with energy and effectiveness, I rest also each night with complete peace. For this, I am so grateful. Having spoken this word, I know that it is heard and it is reflected back to me in my experience. And so I release and let it go with joy. Please join me in saying together, and so it is.
I will answer. All you need is here inside my arms. Just breathe, and you'll be safe and sound with me. Call my name, and I will answer. All you need is here inside my arms. So just breathe, rockabye baby, come and rest. You've been tired lately, lay your head down. Don't you think maybe I know best? I've been a mother for a long time. Call my name and I will listen. All you need is right here in my arms. So just sleep and you can find your rest in me. No one knows you better than me. No one's been a better friend. So rockabye baby, come and rest. You've been tired lately, lay your head down. Don't you think maybe I know best? I've been a father for a long time. Baby, come and rest. You've been tired lately, lay your head down. Don't you think maybe I know best? I've been your mother, I've been your father, I've been your wisdom for a long time. No one knows you better than me. No one's been a better friend. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I give. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
We are so blessed. And now is our time for conscious giving, which are at our center. It's another spiritual practice. This is not just about paying the bills or collecting money. Like every spiritual practice, we practice giving as a conscious choice. We choose to give from an attitude of abundance, knowing that abundance of the universe is already available to us. So, as many of you unable to be here now, please support us by our text to give on the screen, or you can visit our website. And taking this moment, I invite you to hold your gift into your mind and over your heart, and feel the truth of what you say. Unified in effort, we speak our giving affirmation. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Filled with gratitude, I let this be, and so it is.
Thank you to our live studio audience of 5.
Thank you for joining us. We've come to the close of our service today. We sure miss you. Feel your energy. I hope you feel loved and supported. And please make an effort to stay connected. All those tools on the website. You'll find us on Facebook. And reach out to a practitioner at this time if you feel you need some support. There are so many golden moments in this change that we're experiencing, and I encourage you to pay attention to that too. So we wish you well. Sing along with us our closing song. Yeah, together we could change the world.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe it's not too late. Together we can change the world. Lay the puzzle pieces out. Find out what it's all about. Together we can change the world. I could do this by myself, but I'm asking for your help. Together we can change the world. Sailing past where it's been charted. Roll your sleeves up. Let's get started. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the world. With our hands and with our hearts, we can dare to make a start. Together we can change the world. What if we spoke with one voice, knowing that we have a choice? Together we can change the world. I could start this by myself, but I'm asking for your help. Together we can change the world. Sailing past where it's been charted. Roll your sleeves up, let's get started. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the world. Change your mind and change your life. Set aside the fear and strife. Together we can change the world. When we open up our eyes, then we start to realize. Together we can change the world. I could start this by myself, but I'm asking for your help. Together we can change the world. Sailing past where it's uncharted. Roll your sleeves up, let's get started.